Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and delighted to have with us today Stephen Williams. Stephen, formerly a public school teacher, but now he has founded an organization called Prepare the Way Ministries. And all of this has evolved out of a pretty incredible experience that he had with textbook content, being a teacher. And you may want to pick up his latest publication, Navigating Public Schools, Equipping and Empowering Christians to Uphold a Biblical Worldview in School and in Society. Stephen, nice to have you, my friend. How you doing?
Perry, great to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you bet. This is a topic I think that a lot of people are concerned about, but give us your story first. What happened to you?
Yeah, 10 years ago, I was just teaching U.S. history. I loved U.S. history, and I loved using primary source documents to do it. And one year, an atheist parent decided to complain whenever Christian stuff came up in history. And so we were reading about William Penn in Pennsylvania, and he has the audacity to quote Romans 13, very foundational document to Pennsylvania as well as the Constitution. And the school district censored the document and said you can't hand it out because it violates the separation of church and state. And that's kind of the sad commentary on where we're at today, is that just using primary source documents to teach our nation's history all of a sudden, is controversial.
Well, what'd you do? What happened to you?
Well, so I called Alliance Defending Freedom, one of the great Christian legal firms, and I said, can the school district do that? And they said, no, that's not okay. You got to be able to teach history using the actual documents like the Declaration of Independence and the quotes of the founders. And so there was a lawsuit, and gained some national media attention. And through all this craziness, I just felt the Lord leading to start a ministry to really encourage Christians in this area.
Wow. Well, good for you, and thank you for standing up for it. So, by the way, you're coming to Grants Pass. When?
Yeah, this Friday. I'm heading over there tomorrow. Excited. We're doing a seminar at Calvary Chapel, Grants Pass tomorrow, Friday night. Starts at 6:45 to 9, and then Saturday, 9 to noon.
Great. Let me encourage you, folks. Check this out. By the way, Stephen's website is preparetheway.us. Preparetheway.us. And let me encourage you to go there, support what he does. And not only that, it's a tremendous resource. Well, Stephen, this subject keeps coming up. And every time I take on education, there's just no winners. I can't seem to get through this one. But there are teachers who mean well, trying their best, administrators. And then there are those who, blow the whistle if you just don't even look right. How bad is it, in your opinion?
It's bad, but it's not universally bad. I mean, there's a school right here in Central Oregon where the principal's a Christian. We've got a good news club in that school, meeting in the school. They are leading kids to Jesus Christ. They're handing out scriptures on school grounds. So it really depends on the school and the situation. My school, back when I was teaching down in Cupertino, California, it just happened that the principal, the district, they were deceived. They were confused by, what role parents play, what role the school is supposed to play. And that really is the crux of the problem. It goes back to this concept that government knows how to best educate children, not parents.
All right. Do you sense that there is a continuing effort to expunge Christian history from the history books?
Oh, absolutely. And I document that in our seminar. I'm going to give actual case studies of how it's happening. So I will pull out a textbook. I'll show what the textbook shows about certain parts of our history, and then I'll show what the actual history is. So there's a clear bias towards secularization in the education system.
So what rights do parents have to push back on this?
Parents have a lot of rights, and that's one of the things I really want to encourage in this seminar and with our ministry, is that that look, our government is set up that the parents have the constitutional rights to raise their children. And when parents get empowered with what their rights are, and they get some good Christian legal help from like Alliance Defending Freedom, Pacific Justice Institute, Liberty Counsel, there's a lot of fabulous Christian legal firms that will represent Christians for free and help them to live out their faith in the public school system.
Of all the subjects in public school, are there certain ones that are targeted more than others? I would assume history, you obviously ran into that, and I would think, I don't know, is science another one?
Absolutely. History, science, but more so it's becoming very pervasive throughout all the curricular areas. Language arts, I mean, wow, the selection of books, you've seen it probably, where these books that are just, almost softcore pornography are getting introduced in these lower and lower grade levels. So, yeah, it's really pervasive throughout. But if parents and students get equipped with what their rights are, I found that they can really be empowered to live out their faith, be salt and light everywhere, wherever we are. And there's a lot of good resources to help do that.
How are the students handling this, Stephen? I would assume a student goes to Sunday school, church, family life, maybe family devotions. Monday morning, they're back in the classroom, and they're inundated with the opposite. How are they responding?
Most of them are getting discouraged. And every single time we do one of our seminars, there's always these testimonies of, oh my goodness, Stephen, this is exactly what's happening to me. I was doing an essay and I wanted to do a pro-life essay, and all of a sudden the student gets an F on this essay just because the teacher is biased and the teacher's not looking at the standards. So many students are very discouraged because they're not finding where's the support, where is the help. And that's one of the things I hope we can do, is to really encourage the body of Christ to come together and help each other.
All right, so Prepare the Way, you want to obviously talk to parents, you probably want to talk to church leaders, right? Who are you trying to reach?
Well, with this seminar on Friday and Saturday at Calvary Chapel Grants Pass, anyone associated in the public school system. So, I've got people say, well, I'm Christian schooled, or I'm homeschooled. And well, if you have friends in the public school system, or if you have, grandkids in the public school system, come and you'll really be fired up to be able to help equip, students to be more effective evangelists and to not compromise their faith in the public school system. So really anyone. We want administrators to come there. I've had teachers, principals, staff, administrators, parents, volunteers, and students to come and find out the resources that they need.
All right, again, this will be Friday and Saturday there, Calvary Chapel Grants Pass. Pastor Denny Stahl. By the way, Denny, thank you for doing this. Thank you for bringing Stephen in. And I assume they can call the church and get registered for that. Was it Friday evening and Saturday morning?
Yeah, we've got on our website, if they just go to preparetheway.us, it's like United States, they'll go there, they click on the talk there, Calvary Chapel Grants Pass, Navigating Public Schools, and they can RSVP on our website, preparetheway.us. It's tomorrow evening, Friday, 6:45 to 9 at Calvary Chapel Grants Pass Church, and then also Saturday, 9 to noon.
All right. Denny, that's the pastor. Stephen, where is this going? Where is this going? Where do you think? We hear this all the time, and it seems to be relentless. And you and others, we have had Lori Cardozo-Moron. She's been kind of a hawk as well when it comes to textbooks. She's back in Tennessee, and others. Where do you see this going?
There's a battle, a worldview battle raging, as you have seen, and you've interviewed people. I don't know where it's going. Clearly, there's this strong secularization from the government. Common Core, is a perfect example. That's just the natural outcropping from going back to John Dewey, really 70, 80 years ago, where our education system was taken from one locally driven, very much more parent, driven, to one that's very socialized, government driven. So I don't know, but I'm praying for a great awakening, and we need one in America.
Well, it's interesting to say even David Barton, former public school teacher, and what he does with wall builders has, come out of the same kind of experience that you have. And I think parents are saying, well, what do we do? What are our rights? What can happen? And that's what your seminar is all about. And I want to encourage you, parents, look, you got to be proactive for your children. And
yes.
They may not be dealing with it now, but they could be dealing with it sometime this year or in the very near future. And let me encourage you, go to preparetheway.us and sign up for the seminar, Calvary Chapel in Grants Pass, Friday night and Saturday morning. I think it'll be time well invested for you to go and be a part of this. Stephen, this is terrific. Thank you for your work, and stay at it, my friend, and keep us abreast. Do you see anything in the Oregon school system that needs to be changed, or anything that would violate our rights as believers as to what's being taught?
Well, Oregon is one of the liberalest of the liberal as far as education system. There's a ton of things that need to be changed in the Oregon education system. And as we gather together, there's groups forming that are advocacy groups. Boys, we can get those advocacy groups together to start, getting some sanity back into the education system. That would be great.
All right. Thanks, my friend. Blessings on you, and stay in touch, okay?
Thank you, Perry. God bless you.
You too. All right. Preparetheway.us. Go there, sign up, and go to the seminar. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Okay, we're back, and coming up, quite a few events throughout Southern Oregon, and one of them is the great event called the Grants Pass Pregnancy Care Center Gala, and we're going to have Robin on with us in a few moments. But the keynote speaker, Denny Pattyn, is going to be the keynote speaker at that gala event, and all 3 nights, by the way. And he is the founder of the Silver Ring Thing, which has changed the lives of literally thousands of teenagers. Join me now as we talk to Denny about the Silver Ring Thing. Well, what a delight and an honor to have with us today Denny Pattyn. In fact, he is the keynote speaker coming up at the Grants Pass Pregnancy Care Center's Gala, October 23rd through the 25th. Denny is the founder and the executive director of the Silver Ring Thing. Now, I'm sure you're familiar with that because Robin and the crew have really been very successful with the Silver Ring event there in Grants Pass for many, many years. Denny, nice to have you. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great.
Nice to see you.
We're back here on the East Coast, and you're on the West Coast, so it's good to be with you all the way out there.
It's going to be great. Well, listen, the Silver Ring Thing, what an incredible event, and what an incredible concept. How'd this come about?
Well, my wife and I were living in Yuma, Arizona. I was teaching churches how to do youth ministry in Arizona, and the federal government came into our town and told us we had the highest teen pregnancy rate of any county in America. I went to a meeting that they had hosted to try to find some funding, and once I realized how difficult it would be to get federal funding, I asked my wife just to go across the border. We lived on the border of Mexico, and buy some silver rings, and we'll just teach abstinence. And this was in 1995. So we taught about a 7-week course on abstinence, and at the end of it, we said to the kids, if you'd like to put on a ring and remain abstinent, then you can do that. And we had maybe, 25 of the kids put on the ring. And I thought I was done. But one of the girls wanted to have it again for her friend. So we did it on a Sunday night and did it in about 3 hours. And it's a very high-tech, high-energy program. Sound, light, video, smoke machines, lasers, and then the message. I moved back to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I was from originally. I brought the program with me. And what happened was the international media decided to start covering our event. They wanted to come film us. It started with the BBC coming over, and then we've done 350 interviews since. So it just kind of exploded on the scene because nobody believed kids would actually make a decision like this in this day and age. So that's kind of how we got to where we are today.
Well, here you are many years later, and I don't know how many of these rallies you've done, but literally thousands of teenagers have put on the ring.
Right. Yeah, we've done over 1,000 of these events. We're in South Africa, we're in England, and we're also in Brazil. About 600,000 plus have come to our events. 225,000 kids have put on a ring. And amazingly, another 115,000 kids have given their lives to Christ. So it's a very evangelical program as well as an abstinence program.
So how do you tie the two together? How do you tie the message of Christ with abstinence to the point where they would make a decision on the spot to put the ring on?
Well, I think that's what surprised us most. We weren't really ready for the incredible degrading of our society that had gone on. We thought we knew, but we were in for a big surprise when we started getting stories back from kids who were going through these incredible journeys in their lives sexually. So what we realized is that when we presented the gospel through the pain and the lens of sexual, decadence, kids that have gone through incredible sexual experiences, the guilt and the shame in their lives led them in their soul to want to do something about it. When we presented the gospel in that sphere, the change in that kid's life was, I want to change. And so we pray a prayer of salvation, and the kids would literally pray with us. And we've had 30% of the kids who attend our program give their lives to Christ at our program over the 20 years that we've been doing the program. So it's a very strong evangelical response due to the shame and the guilt young people feel in their lives about their sexual misfortunes.
I can't help but think that pastors, youth pastors, and especially the parents are really on board with you.
They are to a degree, but there's a lot of apathy out there. I ask youth pastors when I meet with them, what's your job? And they'll say, well, my job is basically to evangelize students and disciple them. Then I'll ask them, well, can a young person grow spiritually if they're sexually active? And their answer is always no. Well, then I say, well, then you have a tremendous, unbelievable abstinence program you're doing, right? And they say, well, really, I don't. And then I say, well, if you can't disciple a kid basically when they're sexually active, you can't do your job. And you probably should be let go, because we can't afford for our young people to not be discipled. So there's a lot of issues out there in reaching kids, because there's a lot of pressure on a youth pastor to have a strong youth group, numbers-wise. When you start talking about sex and asking them to abstain, kids don't want to keep hearing that, and they'll stop coming. So there's a lot of pressure out there. Parents, though, however, are very much in favor of what we do and very much support us.
So the message of waiting until marriage seems to be resonating more these days than perhaps we would think.
It is, because, quite simply, God's put a soul inside of us.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as there's a soul inside of us, the message will always have a place to land. And even though it's not vogue and it's not in favor in many people's minds today, what we do is we bring in a team of 20-somethings. We actually have 12 people that travel on our team. And the message is quite simple. I am not doing it. That means you cannot do it. In other words, follow my example. So they share their stories and basically break through that, that barrier that's up in front of kids, that they think they can't wait or that they'd be the only one. We also have an until marriage follow-up. So we stay with every kid who makes this decision until they're married. So we're very connected, and we stay very connected to the kids.
That's wonderful. Well, Denny, again, I just want to remind our viewers and listeners that Denny will be the keynote speaker coming up at the Grants Pass Pregnancy Care Center Gala, which is October 23rd through the 25th. He is the founder and the executive director of the Silver Ring Thing, very successful here in the past in Southern Oregon. Tell us a little bit about the Bare Essentials DVD program.
Well, we found out that obviously not every church or every small group can get to a Silver Ring Thing live show. We only do 82 of them a year. So we created a video program called Bare Essentials. And this is a 4-week program. Students go through 4 sessions. How are you going to deal with temptation is lesson number 1. Lesson 2 is How do you set up boundaries in your life? Lesson 3, okay, what are you going to do to recover if you mess up? And then lesson 4, how do you give this all over to God? How do you give this part of your life to God? And then along with that is a parents component. So there's a parents component and a student component. And any church or small group can use this to basically take their students through an abstinence program. The videos are very high edge. They're very cool. They're with our team. So it's not like somebody standing behind a podium, you know. It's part of our show. We film out our shows with the videos. And then at the end of the 4 weeks, the students can put on a ring, and they can order the rings and have them sent out so they can put it on at the end of the show. And we also ask parents to put on a ring. So like I've been wearing a ring now for 14 years for my 3 daughters who are wearing the ring. I put it on to pray for my daughter's purity every day, to pray for their future spouse's purity every day, and to pray for my own purity. So we ask parents, hey, join your kids. Pray for them and pray for their future spouses.
That's wonderful. Now, another part of this is you recognize a lot of kids have been active, but now they want to stop, and the program's for them as well.
Yes, we have a second virginity message where you can start over. And some kids think, well, once I've made a mistake, I can't start over. But we simply share stories from the scriptures. For instance, the woman caught in adultery that's brought to Jesus in John chapter 8. And Jesus basically says, go and sin no more, you know, and she is released from her sin. In other words, she broke one of the 10 commandments. And if you follow that story all the way to the end of John chapter 8, Jesus is the one who's getting stoned. He literally took her place. So we share that with kids and many other stories to let them know, if God could forgive this woman who broke one of the 10 commandments of a sexual sin, what makes you think today he can't forgive you? Do you have a second for me to read a really quick story I got from a young lady just recently?
Please do.
We get stories back from kids all the time because we have this Until Marriage Follow-Up program. So here's a story that came back from a young lady, and this was written to me at 3:49 a.m. in the morning. She had gone to the Silver Evening event the night before and was reading through the follow-up book to give her. Hi, my name is Sarah, and I am 15. My dad is the youth associate pastor at our church. I have 2 brothers, and I was molested by both of them from ages 6 to 12. My oldest brother started first, and then 3 months later, my other brother started molesting me also. They didn't know they both did it to me until one day at a relative's house. I was sleeping in a room, and my middle brother woke me up, feeling me. Then my oldest brother came in and saw him and joined him, molesting me. I tried to get away, but they're much stronger than me. My brothers and I were homeschooled for about a year, and my parents were never home, so my brother started molesting me daily, sometimes multiple times. My oldest brother finally stopped when he started dating a girl, and I begged him to stop because I told him it would be like cheating on her. I don't remember when my middle brother stopped, but it was after some time. I feel like I can never forget the past, that it affects me now. Think about people in ways I wish I didn't. I started cutting myself for about 6 months of my life until I got rid of the blades. I just felt so alone and forgotten and used. I have not told anybody any of this, and I really don't plan on telling anyone. Tonight I went to a silver ring thing and got a ring. I really enjoyed it. In the world we live in, we really need this. If you could tell me some verses that can help me stay away from temptation and remind me of God's love for me, that would be great. Thank you very much, Sarah. And I get stories like this back from kids 2 or 3 times a week. And it tells me how unbelievably devastated these kids are. This is a family where the father is the pastor, associate pastor, and youth pastor of the church. He doesn't even know this. I mean, it's amazing what we see and go through with these kids every day.
Wow, what a story. Well, Denny, thank you for sharing that with us. We look forward to you being with us here in Southern Oregon. Thank you for what you do and the commitment you've made to do this. I would assume now this is occupying your life and sun up to sundown, and I can only pray that the Lord will give you every opportunity that's out there to get this message out. And again, thanks. We look forward to seeing you in a couple of days.
God bless you, man.
Okay, and he will be in town next week. And what for? Well, the big Gala event, and Robin Fuller, who heads that up, will be with us next year on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at theDove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on theDove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Okay, we're back, and just hearing Denny talk about the silver ring thing. Denny Pattyn, who is kind of the guy that founded that whole program, and it ended up being one of the big events every year in Grants Pass. And with me now is our good friend Robin Fuller, who heads up the Grants Pass Pregnancy Care Center, and their big annual gala event. It's gone from 1 day to 3 days, and the way it's going, it's going to be a month celebration. But this is all coming up next week, the 23rd, 24th, and 25th, and Denny will be flying out to be the keynote speaker. This is pretty exciting.
It is. It's awesome.
Yeah, and if people want to go, they just show up. What's the deal?
Well, no, they need to call us and let us know, because
Okay.
this thing is usually packed to the gills.
Okay.
We've never had to turn anybody away, but it's pretty crazy to have 250 people every night.
Okay.
And sometimes people aren't able to fill their table they've sponsored or hosted. So I would encourage anyone to call if they're interested in coming. There's no cost to attend.
Okay.
It's all underwritten, but there will be a financial appeal. It is our big fundraising event
Sure.
of the year.
All right, so give the Pregnancy Care Center a call if you want. What's that number?
479-6264.
Okay. All right, now the other thing you're going to do is Wednesday there at Reinhardt Volunteer Park. And this is kind of a memorial event for those who, what?
Well, any woman or man, anyone who has lost a child, either through abortion or miscarriage or stillbirth or shortly after birth, we're just doing a quick in honor of National Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness. October 15th is the day that's typically celebrated, or honored, I should say, in our nation. And so we're just gathering at All Sports Park and doing a balloon release. So anyone is welcome to attend and join with us.
And that is at what time?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock in the evening. So next Wednesday, if you're in Grants Pass and you feel tugged to be a part of that, or you've experienced that, go on over. Get there at the park. Well, what's the theme this year of the gala?
The theme is Love Does. And if you've read that book by Bob Goff,
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome. Just really talking about how love it's an action. And so what is the Pregnancy Care Center doing to help people? How are we putting that into action?
All right. Well, let's look back a little bit. Go back down memory lane this year. What are some of the things you guys did?
Oh, man. Well, I guess part of it is my personality. We're just always going and moving and changing and bringing new things in. And the board's been in the middle of a really big strategic planning process and trying to really set down a good vision for the organization. And always working with women who are facing those unplanned pregnancies, trying to help them really think that through and have that ultrasound to know what it is they're thinking. And it's amazing how many women we're seeing who really are planning on having abortions, and then showing them, though, and many of them are changing their minds. But for those whose minds are not changed, we're always there to help them pick the pieces up afterwards if they're having any struggles after abortion, whether it's a month after or 40 years after.
Isn't that wonderful?
So we help them as well, both men and women.
That's wonderful. So where do you think you're going in the future? I mean, you're doing some long-range strategy. You come out of this, hopefully you raise your budget and the things that you need, but obviously you want to do some more.
Well, we really want to do a lot in the area of abstinence, and that's one of the reasons we're bringing Denny Pattyn out this year. We want to do more in that area. We already do the silver ring thing, and we have a program called EPIC, which is in public middle and high schools, as well as private middle and high schools in Southern Oregon. We'd love to expand that, but we know that in order for kids to be successful in living an abstinent lifestyle, their parents need to be more involved. And so we want to do more for parents. We have a lot that we want to do in the area of abstinence that we haven't been able to.
You've been successful on campus too. You've been allowed to go and do these things. That's pretty unique.
Well, the way that our program is, it may not be typical to some abstinence programs that are around the nation. We have worked with the schools to find out what they want, and what they really want are more in the areas of goal setting and character development, and how would being sexually active impact your goals, where you want to go. So it's very practical, and we have a nurse come in one day and do a presentation on STDs and STIs and what does that really look like if you become sexually active. So we're trying to make it really practical, working with the schools, seeing what they want. And so that's one of the reasons we're so welcomed in there. Plus, it's no cost to the schools.
Right, right. You know, you have a very, very successful Silver Ring Thing event. And how many years have you done that now?
Oh my goodness, 7?
7? So, the effects of that now are probably being seen and felt in the community. You've got a lot of kids.
Yeah, it's amazing how many kids I see now, older kids in their
Yeah.
20s. I just saw one last month who works in a local store in Grants Pass, and he had his ring on. And he was probably 22 or so. And I asked him, I'm like, oh, tell me about that ring. And he was still really excited about that and very proud to say that he was still living an abstinent lifestyle. All kids don't do that, but we know that it puts a message in their heart where they have that hope that they can always return to.
You know, this is incredible, the services you guys provide and where all this is going. I got to tell you, this is powerful. And we know that you have an immediate effect, and then in a lot of cases you have a kind of a delayed reaction effect. Even if they become active and make a mistake or whatever, they remember what they heard and they come back again down the road. You get them. Sooner or later you get them, right?
Well, we sure hope to. I was
Yeah.
one of those kids that did not do it right.
Yeah.
So if I can help any kids to do it right, or if they have fallen, to know that God's grace is always there.
Wow.
To help pick them up.
All right, let me encourage you now. The Gala event in Grants Pass is the 23rd, 24th, and 25th, and you'll have to call the center there to get a ticket to go, even though it's already underwritten. And that's 479-6264. Let me encourage you to do that. So 700 and something people a night. Boy, you're busy.
Well, 250 a night.
250 a night. Okay, I'm sorry.
Woo, that'd be crazy.
Even so, it's a lot. And you're going to hear Denny to come out, Denny Pattyn, who is the guy that founded the Silver Ring. I thought it was so funny. Honey, go across the border and get some silver rings.
Denny is just an amazing person. And the first time we did the event, he actually came out and I got to spend time with him. And he's just so energetic and so passionate about what he does. You can see why he's been successful. And even on, I'll invite any youth pastors or head pastors who are listening on Friday morning at Parkway Christian Center. So Friday morning, October 24th, Denny and his wife Amy are going to do a presentation on a book called Hooked: How Casual Sex is Impacting Our Youth. And so we're going to have more of an intimate setting and some interaction directly with Denny and some discussions. So if anyone is interested in attending that as a youth worker or youth pastor, they can call us at 479-6264. We just need to know who's going to be there to plan for room.
Let me emphasize that. Pastors or get your youth pastors or youth workers to go to this. If they can take Friday morning off and they have the time available, send them over there. What an incredible opportunity to get the tools and the insight on how to deal with this subject. I firmly believe, Robin, we're heading to a time with all the craziness that's going on that the church is going to have to take back sex education.
Well, I think so too.
Yeah.
And with so much going on in the world, this is a time when I feel I need to just keep my hand on the plow and keep doing the task in front of me because everything looks so overwhelming.
Yeah.
But if we can impact some people right here, that is my task at hand. And so I have to just keep my head down in some respects and just keep working.
Well. Again, youth workers, pastors, you may want to call the center at 479-6264. And Friday morning, Danny and his wife will be doing a very closed environment, kind of a mini seminar for you. And boy, take advantage of that. Take advantage of that.
Absolutely. But come out to our gala next week.
Yeah.
We have client stories. that are going to be presented, and you'll get a full update more on the vision, where we're going into the future. We always have needs in front of us. Right now we need some nurses. I'll put that out there.
Sure.
Because we need nurses to come volunteer and do pregnancy testing for us. This is always a great way to get that word out. And we also have classes going for men and women who have had abortions in their past. And we're looking for 1 or 2 more women, and then we have a class that's getting ready to start immediately. So. Okay.
Well, nurses, hello. It's God talking to you here. Give them a call over there at 479-6264 and volunteer some time there at the Pregnancy Care Center in Grants Pass. And don't forget, Wednesday is going to be a very special time there at the park at 5 o'clock. The balloon release, the balloons will be provided. And again, that's for those who have been impacted by the loss of a child in any way, right?
Yes.
Yeah, what a great thing. And so check that out as well. Thank you, Robin. As
Thank
always,
you,
a
Perry.
joy. I can't wait. Hope you're okay in a week from now.
Thank you.
But it'll be great. And as always, by the way, if you want to go to the gala, give the office a call and get a ticket there or get signed up there, okay? All right, thanks. We'll be right
Perry.
back.
Hi, I'm Daniel and I work at theDove TV. You know, compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market. But at theDove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
Okay, we're back, and one of my favorite people in the studio. Yes, we have Treva Kuyper with us today. She's one of the co-leaders of the ministry called the Loft, and this is an outstanding ministry to young girls between 8th grade and 12th grade, and they're off and running. You're, a couple of weeks into this now?
We are. We had our kickoff a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
We had about 75 girls come.
That's
we
wonderful.
Had some guests. It was great. We had a carnival. We had so much fun. They are excited to come back, so we're hoping that we'll have more than 75 for our next Loft night.
Well, and by the way, you can join this anywhere along the line, and if you feel led to get your young daughter, neighbor, whatever, between the ages of 8th grade and 12th grade, you can get them over to the Loft anytime during this. And you meet every what day? Every what Sunday?
The second Sunday of every month.
Second Sunday of every month. And Community Bible Church there in Central Point. Communication, really?
Yes. Yes.
What do you plan to say and do here?
Well, we're going to meet this Sunday at 5:30. The
Are you
girls
going to make
can
them
just
put
show
all
up.
their phones down?
Well, yes, we do that every month, actually. We actually have a drawing that the girls can enter when they turn their phones in to their small group leader. And it was just a great way to make it very lighthearted. But it cuts out on the texting during someone else talking, and the girls love it. They don't mind. But yeah, communication with our phones, with other people, with parents. We wanted to do this topic. This is a brand new one. We haven't done this one before. But we wanted to do this topic because a lot of the girls will ask us questions in small groups about just communicating with their dad or their mom or their siblings, how they're arguing with their siblings. Or maybe they got in a fight at school with one of their best friends and they don't know how to resolve that. So we started to realize that communication hits every category that they deal with, and we want to teach them how to be better listeners and how to be better speakers.
Well, we all know that you women use more words than we men.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. And then you get a room full of them. What do you do?
Oh, my word. I know. It's like 20,000 words a day that women use and 7,000 that men use. And my husband and I are great examples of that. He has few words. I have a lot of words. So yeah, when the girls come together, they have a lot of words. And we want to teach them that you have to choose your words carefully. Listening is a skill. Hearing is involuntary. So you're automatically going to hear words, but are you actually listening? So we want them to be quick to listen, like in James, quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry, and just take a step back, take a breath, pause for a moment, and really get into a conversation where they're not only speaking, but they're listening as well.
How do you teach not stepping on somebody else while they're talking?
That is a heart. That's a skill. That's a skill. You know, we need to, that whole pausing and taking a breath, we need to be caring about the person that's speaking to us. Oftentimes we actually listen in order to reply. Even as you're asking me questions, I'm thinking, how am I going to reply? It's very natural.
Hey, just talk to me, Treva. Don't worry about the cameras and all.
No big deal. So we want them to take that moment and listen, trying to understand the other person and have compassion for the other person. It's not something that we're going to be able to teach them in one night. It's a skill that God teaches us over time. And I was telling some of our girls last week that, you know, this is a skill, communication, that they're going to learn their whole lives. And when they have a career, when they have a job, when they have a family, the better they are at communicating, the better they will be in life.
Do these young girls want to hear or be heard?
They want to be heard. In the worst way, they want to be heard. They have such a deep desire to be understood. So a lot of times with their parents, they don't always want to share everything with their parents, because I've heard them say, because they're just going to interrupt me and then just tell me what I need to do to fix it, you know? And so they want their parents, they want their teachers, their friends to just sit and listen to them and try to understand where they're coming from. A lot of times they'll shut down with people that don't actually try to understand where they're coming from. We actually want to address the difference between men and women and moms and dads. Because I was telling one of the girls that when she communicates with her father, she may need to limit how many words she's using. You know, let's just get the facts, ma'am, and really limit that. But when she's talking to her mom, maybe she could elaborate and use more details and go on. And the mom might be able to sit and listen. So we just have to know who our audience is and then communicate in a way that they can then understand and have compassion for what we're saying.
Do you teach the girls in some way or another that words can be lethal? And that bullying is somewhat of an example of that.
Absolutely. Yes. Next month in November, we're going to talk about mean girls, toxic relationships, and bullying. But we are going to address this Sunday, the idea of bullying and how our words, you know, that sticks and stones, words will never hurt me. That's not true. And so we want the girls to not only care about being heard, but also care about how they speak to each other. How they speak to each other. Wouldn't it be such a difference at school if they actually used kind words when they talk about people? They say good things about people instead of throwing them under the bus. Yeah. And I think that a lot of the bullying could stop if our girls knew how to talk with people with love and care and kindness, or actually learn how not to talk, how to just be silent. So we want to teach them all of that, and we believe that communication is going to filter through all of our topics this year. That's what I'm so excited about. Let's give them real life skills.
Good for you. Sometimes, you just mentioned it, no verbalization is good. But I've been around enough teenagers to see that in a discussion, you can almost find out who is the subordinate and who's the leader, who tries to take control of the conversation and dominate. What do you do, Coach?
Well, for the girls, there are those girls. We have the introverts and the extroverts. We have those that are a little quieter and a little bit more shy. You know, trying to teach the extroverts that, hey, if you're always the one talking in your small group, if you're always the one leading the conversation, maybe take a step back, because when those extroverts are a little quieter, the introverts start to speak. I was actually laughing. My co-director, Patty, she and I lead a small group in our youth group. And I was sick last week, so I wasn't there to lead our small group. And a couple of the other girls that are talkers, the extroverts of the group, weren't there. And so she had a group of introverts. Shyer girls were there, ones that don't need a lot of words. And she said they all spoke without being called on. They all shared. They had a delightful time. Oh. Those of us that have a lot of words weren't there. And so I struggle with that too, and just being a listener and not always dominating a conversation. Again, it's a skill that we want them to learn. It'll benefit them.
All right, Treva, what about the real reality that all of these devices are in our world, and they have a tendency to pick up their own kind of slang, especially on texting. tweeting, all of these things. And teenagers have a tendency to want to be cool and use the slang, but it could be damaging. Do you address that?
We do, and we will again in April. We talk about online safety and communication online in the social media. We are going to address that Sunday night. And body language is more about communication. 93% of all communication is body language, and only 7% is verbal. So when you're behind a screen just typing, it's almost as though you're just being verbal. They can't see your facial expressions. They can't see your hand motions. They can't see your body language. So if body language is 93% communication and they can't see it, now you have all these situations that things are misunderstood. The slang is very interesting because they tend to understand it, but yet not everybody does. I mean, the majority of them do, but I think in real life, it doesn't overflow into real life. It doesn't give them the skills to communicate with their teachers, with adults, with people face to face, because they're so used to just throwing something out there on the computer, using slang, cutting the words down to their bare minimum. Well, we need to go back to the basics of communication, speaking, and body language. How do we interact with each other in the best way?
That's wonderful. Isn't one's self-esteem somewhat determined by whether or not they are heard as a person?
I believe so. Especially, I think, for girls.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of words, we don't we don't always want a solution. I mean, we see this in marriage. You know, women want to talk to their husband about their day. The husband wants to solve it. And so with girls, they feel that, they sense that. And I think that whereas women can maybe interpret that like, you know, my husband is just trying to help me with the situation, or we can say, hey, honey, I just need you to listen to me. But girls are more immature, and so I think that they interpret that as someone doesn't care. And that if the more that they think people don't care, that does affect their self-esteem, that does affect them spiritually. Maybe it even affects them spiritually where their relationship with God is. So maybe they start to think, well, wow, if my dad doesn't care what I feel, what I think, what my life is like, then maybe God the Father doesn't care. Dads have a huge part in communicating with their teen girls. We expect moms to get girls because we're all females. But for dads, I think they play a huge role in that interpretation of God the Father to the teenager.
All right. Again, the Loft is for girls between 8th grade and 12th grade. And whether you have a daughter or relative or friend who you'd like to be a part of this, you can join anywhere along the line. They're going to go now through, May or June? And the second Sunday of the month out at the Community Bible Church in Central Point. And just show up. What time?
5:30 this Sunday.
Or maybe give the church a call. I only got about a minute left. When you're doing conflict resolution with girls and you're trying to help them communicate between themselves, do you at any time do you say, don't talk, right?
Well, we give them journals.
They
get a journal every time they come, or not every time they come, but the first time they come, they get a journal for the year.
Okay.
And so we do encourage them to take notes, to write verses down, to write things out. In the small group, they have opportunities to share. And we do encourage them to use their journals in small group. But what we encourage them to do is listen to the other people that are talking and try to get those small groups to gel in such a way that that fellowship is now support. So now they come every month, they have the same small group every month, and now they feel supported. So maybe if at home they're feeling misunderstood, we're hoping that when they come to the Loft, they're feeling understood.
Wow. Okay, dads, you can do your future son-in-law a favor by getting these young girls
Yes.
to this class. Oh, it's wonderful. All right, again, Community Bible Church, second Sunday of every month. And should they call ahead?
They don't. They can just show up.
Just show up.
Yep.
All right, just show up, 5:30, be there, and it's wonderful. Communication, what's next after that?
Mean Girls, Toxic Relationships, and Bullying is
There you
November.
go. All right, Treva, thanks, sweetie.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you next time on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Jim and I work at theDove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, theDove.us.